everybody, I'm Jen,
And I'm Tammy.
and they call us Woo.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a little bit of a long vacation for the both of us.
Oops.
And not oops, we were just really busy. We
That's
had
true.
all kinds of things going on, like vacations and things.
Children
So,
going to moving out of the house and just lots of stuff. Lots of stuff.
yes, life,
Mm-hmm.
which is what happens. So this week we decided that when we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about something that we've talked a little bit about before, but it's one of our favorite topics. So we are going to talk about healing stones and crystals today.
There's so
And
many. We could do every episode about them and still not run out.
we could. There might be some people who say, no, I don't like rocks.
Who doesn't like rocks?
Probably somebody who has some really bad childhood trauma.
Maybe. Like me and every kid I know is the ones that are like full of rocks. Our pockets were full of rocks. Every
Tammy,
time we went
you're
places.
full of it.
I am. Something.
Full of rocks. We just found that out. Hopefully they're not pop rocks.
Oh my god, no.
Anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of our, I would say favorite rocks, but I think they're all our favorites. So I know
Yes.
Tammy has a few in front of her. And which one would you like to talk about first?
Well, I will probably talk about my green opal first, but just in general, I mean, I feel like when I go pick stones and rocks and crystals, I go by what feels like I'm guided to. Like usually you're just really attracted to something, and if you keep going back to that thing, it's always one of those like, oh, you read the card for what it's for, and you're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Sometimes it's for me, sometimes it's for the people I know. So that's how I buy them, and I have tons of them. But that's also how I did this today like every day I wear a stone of some sort, but usually in the morning I just go with like, okay, what's the best for me today? And then I pick that one out. So I kind of did that with these today too. And I kept thinking about this beautiful piece of raw opal that I have. It's like this kind of like the color when it's raw kind of reminds me a little bit of jade, except maybe a little bit more yellowy. And this particular piece I just loved because in its raw form, you can see some of the browns that come into it and some of the rock that it originally, came from and stuff like that. And I just love it. So this one was the first one that sprung to my mind today when we were thinking about picking out crystals. And the interesting thing is I do feel like sometimes the crystals are for me and sometimes they're for whoever is going to be listening today. But this one felt very much like it was for me because I'm going through this whole journey of, I guess, learning how to be aware of what's happening now. Like there's a lot of things that are happening in my life, like a lot of, maybe sometimes uncomfortable things that are clearing and stuff, but also a lot of really exciting things. And sometimes, I don't know if anyone else relates to this, but sometimes I'm so stuck in like what's happening ahead of me that I forget to be present in what's happening now. That has become very obvious to me recently. I've had a few moments like in the car, like on the way back from visiting you. I remember I was listening to a song and my little like driving mode thing was on for Spotify. And on my phone, it only shows like how to skip ahead. It doesn't have like a rewind, like go back and listen to it again button. And I realized as I'm listening to the song I really liked that I was so concerned about like, how am I going to play it again when the song is over, that I wasn't enjoying the song as it was playing. And I'm like, what the hell, Tammy? Like, that makes no sense. You're so worried about like whether or not you're going to be able to play it again and planning for that you're not enjoying the song that you were so excited to listen to. So that's come up for me more than once lately where I've been made aware, and I am grateful for being made aware of these things because now that I know, I can have that moment to go, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy what's happening around me right now. So that's a lesson
Yeah.
I've been um, and an experience that I've been enjoying is becoming aware of that and learning how to lean into the moment a little more. And the green opal is definitely about reminding us that life is beautiful and actively being and consciously being aware of what's happening around us and all of the beauty in our everyday lives. I know we talked not that long ago about, you were getting an image of like a smash cake of life right now, where
Hmm.
it's like, it might be a little messy, but all the bits are delicious. And that
Hmm.
is kind of what this like symbolizes for me is living in the moment because, I mean, we're here to experience all of it, right? And like,
Hmm.
if I'm always just waiting for the next thing or planning for the next thing, then I'm not enjoying what's currently happening or experiencing what's currently happening in its fullest form so I can move through whatever it is. I'm feeling pretty good right now, but I love looking at this piece and um, we will definitely put in the description for the podcast, for the audio version, what stones we're talking about. So feel free
Hmm.
to look those up for yourself too. But if green opal is something that sounds really awesome to you, this stone was for you today too.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like it's not a dark green, which
No.
I when I think about it, I think it should be a dark green, but it's not. It's like a lighter. We hold it up again so we can
Yeah.
describe it. So it's like uh yellowy. What? How would you even describe that? It's
It does
kind of
remind me of
yellowy
somewhere
green.
between like jade and uh I don't know. Like I don't know. It's I do think of jade when I first see it, but jade is a little bit more like richer green than this. This is um yeah, it's more yellowy and you can see more of the like pieces of like brown that go through it when
Yeah.
it's in its raw form. And I think when
I
it's polished, it is a little bit darker.
I don't know why, but for some reason that's making me think of that weird angel food candy, which I don't know if you know
Angel
what that
food
is.
candy.
Sponge candy. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I
it's
don't
like
think
this
I do.
weird, airy, crystallized. It's more brown than that, but I don't know why it's making me think of that, which is a very strange thing. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, you're gonna see the picture of the stone and you're gonna be like, "What in the world is she on?" I don't know why it
I
made
mean,
me
maybe
think of
it's just
that,
because it's
but
more like raw. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I
I
do
don't
like
know.
that. I mean, if you are someone who is really familiar with chakras, I feel like you always can kind of tell what a stone is for based on its color. And that
Hmm.
this one, bringing in the green and the little bit of yellow, is like the heart and the solar plexus. So it's just a very like fun, confident, um, I don't know, like rejuvenating feeling to it. I enjoy it
Yeah,
very much.
yeah, that's awesome. I like
Anyway,
it.
what
I
did you
like it.
pick?
So I grabbed actually this is a stone that one of my clients gave to me years and years and years ago, and it used to be in my healing office, probably 10 years ago. I don't know, a very long time ago. But it's celestite, and it's like
I love that.
really light, pale blue, shiny, shimmery, almost like glitter. Like when you get one of those cards that has glitter glued to the inside of the envelope, it
It's very
shimmers like
airy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about connection to the divine realms and connection to the angels and connection to your guides and your guidance system. So it brings you up and out of your body. Which I mean, I guess sometimes I don't need that, but but I like it. Um, so it's really good for meditation. It's really good for when you're asking for guidance. And I know that I used to it sat on a shelf up in my office for a really long time in my actual healing room. And sometimes people would come in and I had so many clients that they would look at it and they'd say, I don't know why, but I feel like that stone is going to give me answers.
That's
And
cool.
it was very much about them connecting to the guidance that was coming through. So we would pull it down and I would either put it under the table or they would hold it during their sessions. And it it really helped a lot of people
Hmm.
feel more open to receiving um, than they typically were. Because it was usually the clients who were like, I can't hear the guidance. I can't. Those were usually the ones who were like, I feel like that's going to give me answers.
That's
And
interesting. I have
yeah,
a piece in my room too, and I have felt compelled to put that around people before too. I love that
yeah,
there's something very, it is fragile, and there's something like really, like you said, kind of like sparkly and wispy about it. Like it makes sense with what it does. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like just not necessarily of this realm
It's
type
like
of
fairy
stone.
dust.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
The piece that I have a piece in my crystal shop too that's like huge and gorgeous. But the piece that I have came from like a larger stone that the person I got it from ended up selling the separate chunks because it broke apart in shipping
yeah.
because it is so fragile. Even like the larger stones and stuff like that are fragile, but it was really cool to see like the whole, like a large one and like the whole chunk, and then like
Yeah.
the smaller pieces that I have.
Well, and they're like geodes. So I've actually had some places when I've gone to purchase from some vendors, they have geodes that you can crack open. And so they're crystal geodes. So like the one that I'm holding up for those who are listening, I'm holding one up and it's half of a geode. So there's like a weird little hole in the middle that I always want to stick my finger in it. And it's kind of like it's biting you with its little crystal teeth. It's not really.
Should not
It's
stick your finger
it's
in things.
I know, but it's like little love nibbles from a crystal. I don't know. I'm strange, but it's it feels nice because it's a whole bunch of little crystals all together. And so you can feel the different facets and you can feel the different faces of all of the little crystals. And so I am being careful. I'm not being aggressive with my stones and my crystals, but you can feel them. And it's like there's smooth spots and then there's like more rough, jagged spots, like I said, like little crystal teeth. Um, and there's some dust in the middle of that I might need to take care of since it's been sitting on the shelf for so long. But it's one of my go-tos when I used to hold stones when I meditated, and it was one of the ones that I would hold. I would hold that and
Oh, that's a
labradorite.
good idea.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah.
be a really good stone for that. That
Hmm.
was, now that I think of it, one of the first ones that I think I brought into the room that I felt really compelled to bring into the room with me once I started doing more like spiritual connection energy work, which totally makes sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, doing using it with meditation sounds like an awesome idea too. Hmm. So, did you use it for your meditation today? Is that why you picked it, or you just saw it and you're like, "This is
No,
beautiful.
I
I
just
wanna."
saw it and I was like, oh, I haven't used this in a while because
Okay.
it's upstairs in our kind of guest bedroomy, family roomy area. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. So the next one I picked, which is not going to be nearly as vibrant if you're seeing it on the screen, but if you see a picture of it, you're going to be like, wow, that's amazing. It is a blue green fluorite, and it is really vibrant in person, and it kind of reminds me of my hair sometimes, and I clearly like those colors. But I love fluorite, and rainbow fluorite is really good for like spiritual connection and clarity and stuff like that. But fluorite of all types, it's like a stone that you almost can't believe that happened in the natural realm because the
Mhm.
colors are so vibrant.
Yeah.
But this one is a little point, and it's got just these lovely like flowy bits. Some of it almost looks like glass, and then there's like these lovely flowy bits of green and blue like intersecting. And there's something really cool about seeing all of those intersecting pieces, especially when you are connecting with your heart and your throat chakras. But also the the shapes of them can make such a difference sometimes too, depending on like what it is, whether it's a palm stone or a point or a big tower or a sphere. Like they all can kind of move energy in different ways, and this one always feels to me like it gives me kind of a cool like connection effect, where I feel, well, yeah, I feel connected in my heart chakra, but also like things seem to flow a little easier for me. But then it also helps to like bring that energy up, which I kind of enjoy too.
Mhm.
Like you said, I mean, I probably need more grounding stones than I do floaty ones, but
Mhm.
but here we are.
Yes, exactly. Tammy, Halloween is coming up. I think that with the color of your hair, maybe you should be fluorite for Halloween.
I should, and nobody would know what the hell I am except for you.
You could make your hair into a little point
I
and like
could.
it would be great, Tammy.
It would. It would. Oh, that's a really good idea. I could get like those like cellophane papers
Yeah.
or whatever and like make them into little forms. Yeah, I could. Okay. Spooky season is upon us. I get excited.
I'm so excited to see Tammy as fluorite.
Well, now I'm going to have to because you're going to be really disappointed if I don't show up as Fluorite
I
someday.
won't be disappointed. The image is already in my brain. It's like it already happened.
Well, I might just make it happen in reality. We'll see
Yes.
how things go. But
Yay.
when I looked it up too, because I mean, sometimes I like to look at the information that I can find online too. And sometimes you'll find a lot of different types of information, but I always feel like the first thing that kind of pops out is usually the thing that you're meant to get from it. And this one is online was talking about being really good at balancing and cleansing negative emotions too. So that's another good thing with the shape of it,
Yeah.
because you're sending it up there to be transmuted into something that is lovely and
Mhm.
much lighter than the things that are holding you down. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Beneficial.
yes. What is your next one?
I'm already holding it. I have a lavender rose quartz in my hand, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a rose quartz that has a purple tint to it. I don't know. It looks very, on the screen, it looks very pink, but in real life, it has this beautiful light lavender color
Hmm.
mixed in it. So it's like certain light hits it and it's pink, and then you tilt it just a little bit and it gets more purpley. Um, so I don't, I wish I knew how to make the light make things show up better.
I
Ooh,
know, right?
that's a little bit more purple. But for those who are listening, you can picture it. It's a palm stone. It's a perfect egg for my hand. That's just this beautiful little pinky lavendery rose quartz, and it's it is meant to help open up your heart and bring more love in, but it's also very calming, like bringing the lavender aspect into it. It brings that calming energy, and it also is like a confluence of energy flowing from the crown chakra down into the heart chakra, and it's just this blending of the energies in the upper chakras. So every time I'm holding this, I get this sensation of movement of energy from my heart all the way up to my crown.
I love that.
It's lovely. I picked two stones that bring me like way up. I don't know why I ended up picking those two stones today, because maybe I just needed that. I don't know. But it's lovely. And if you ever get a chance, I don't see a lot of people with lavender rose quartz.
No, that's the first one I've seen.
I just happened to go to purchase for my old crystal shop, and he had a whole bunch of them, and I was like, I want them all. I want them all. So we ended up getting some for the shop, and they all sold out very, very
Oh,
quickly.
yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to
So,
my person and be like, hey, can you get your hands on this? Because I feel like that's just even before you showed it, when you said what it was, I'm like, oh, I bet that's beautiful. And
mhm,
people love rose quartz. They're very attracted to that too,
yeah,
which of course love, duh.
yeah,
But like also,
love.
yes. But the lavender one sounds just beautiful.
Hmm. It is. It is. What else you got, Miss Tammy?
So, okay, I have two pieces of Bumblebee Jasper. I have this lovely onyx
It's
bowl
my
that is just
favorite.
chock full of tumbles. Some of
Hmm.
which just like to live here most of the time, some of which I wear, whatever.
Hmm.
There's a home
Some of
for,
it she's full of.
yes.
Yes.
My home is certainly full of them. But I was kind of laughing because I have two pieces, and the one that I picked out today reminds me a little bit of candy corn, which is
Oh,
very,
it does.
which is very like, it's good for the season.
Hmm.
But I love Bumblebee Jasper too, and I know like for me, I've been wearing it here and there. Like when I have those days where there's a lot on my plate or whatever, or I'm kind of working through things and it feels like I've kind of forgotten like who I am and how freaking awesome I am. Like Bumblebee
Hmm.
Jasper comes in like, "You're amazing. Let's do this."
Buzz, buzz. Have you heard the
Yes.
word, Tammy?
Which side note, I've seen more than once on social media recently people sharing pictures of a little bumblebee rear end like with its little legs hanging down laying across a flower, and it is the most adorable freaking thing I've ever seen. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, you
I'm
said
gonna need
rear
to.
end, and I was thinking a bumblebee ran into another bumblebee, like it
No,
rear-ended
it's
another
little
bumblebee.
Tushy. And it has
I
its
know,
little
but
legs hanging down like it's just
I
flopped
was
over the
like,
pedal.
a
It's so
bumblebee
cute.
accident. They flew into each other.
I mean, they are like adorable little things. I don't know if
Mhm.
they seem like a little like doo 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 as they're, flying around, but they probably actually are good at not hitting each other in midair.
I think they just are enjoying life.
Yes.
Just buzzing around
I
like
love
la
them
la
so
la la la
much.
la
Like,
la.
you never want to hug an insect, but you see a bumblebee and you're like, you look really
Oh, I
huggable.
do. I want to hug them all. Okay, so weird little side note. My fiance loves to feed our chickens grasshoppers. So he runs around in our backyard and in the common area yards around us with a little net and catches grasshoppers and puts them in a jar to give to our chickens. And some days I really have a hard time because he's like, "You want to come help me feed the chickens?" And then he'll hand me a handful of grasshoppers, and I'm like, but they're so cute. And then they just look up at me, and I'm like, I can't do it. And I put them back in the jar and I walk away because I
I
do. I
understand.
want to hug all the bugs,
I
I want to hug them
understand.
all.
I mean, I am definitely one of those people who generally tends to like put bugs outside rather than
Hmm.
kill them. And I don't know. But fuzzy bugs are just a whole different thing.
Until you see the spiders at my house, and then you will not think that about fuzzy
I
bugs.
like spiders though. I
I
have
like
a fuzzy
spiders, but
spider on my arm.
yeah, but
Not a
when you
real
see
one.
them in person, when you're trying to pick your vegetables,
Yeah, that might be
sometimes
a little
not so
bit more
good.
alarming. That might
Yeah,
be a little
I'm
more
pretty
alarming.
sure we have a black widow in our garden.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, there's a benefit of living further north where all that stuff that can kill you just can't survive the winter.
Yes. I've been
I
told black
mean,
widows don't usually kill you though.
realistically, we
Just
also have a hard time surviving the winter, but the bugs definitely the bugs definitely
yeah.
can't. Bugs and
Yeah.
snakes.
Yep.
Um okay.
Anyway, back to
So,
Bumblebee
Bumblebee
Jasper.
Jasper is an amazing little like it just helps with like removing blockages, remembering who you are, having your spiritual connection. What types of things have you used it before? Because I know you love Bumblebee Jasper too.
So I love Bumblebee Jasper because it is very much it is a catalyst for accepting who you are. It's not just remembering who you are, it's accepting who you are. And
Mm,
that's mostly what I've used it for is those situations where you walk in and you have to give a presentation or you have to go and explain something that you're not used to explaining in front of people. I will always have that in my pocket in those situations because I know when sometimes I'll go into those situations, I'm like, oh, well, do I really know if somebody questions me? Am I going to have a hard time with this? And I get like real shy in my own knowledge. So I scoop up my Bumblebee Jasper and I'm like, oh, bitch, I got this.
nice.
Like, we're good. We're good. Okay.
That's
So then
hilarious
I
because I
go,
was literally picturing like a little sachet into the room. Like,
yes. So yeah, so that's what I usually use it for. It's more of a catalyst than just a remembering.
nice.
Yeah.
That I like the way you put that. I would agree with that. And I think it's interesting all of the different like ways that that can be applied because
Mhm.
I've felt compelled to help people with that for moving through grief and for
Mhm.
things that you wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, well, you need something for your heart, whatever. Not, yeah, sometimes it just depends what you need. But sometimes also when you're in deep stages of transformation or
Mhm.
grief or whatever, you do kind of lose. You feel like you're kind of broken apart and you lose pieces
Yep.
of yourself for a little while. And
Yeah.
you're right. Like it pulls it right back into your center.
Mhm.
And it's like, this is who you are. This is who you are becoming. I just love it.
Mhm.
And for the
You
people who
get
can't see
rear-ended
it,
by
a bumblebee. They
yeah,
can't
it
sting
rear
you
ends
though,
you.
so it's
I know,
fine.
I
They
know.
just bounce off you with their little fluffy selves. Um, so for people who can't see it, it's kind of like what it sounds like. So usually the stone has yellow, usually kind of like a dark blackish gray, sometimes like a lighter whitish gray. Sometimes the yellow moves into like oranges, but there's like kind of a stripy pattern to it.
Mhm.
I've got another piece here that I like to wear in my little necklace sometimes that I really love too.
Yeah.
But
I love
I
it so
the
much.
little candy corn one, I'm like, oh yeah, this is so
Mhm.
cute.
I used to carry one in my bra all the time. And
I
and it was a big
moved
piece. It
out of
wasn't just a little one.
bra stones. They're a thing. I moved out of wearing stones in my bra because when I work, because I move around a lot, sometimes they would fall out.
Yeah.
So, once I found these like awesome little necklaces that have like a metal mesh kind of basket thing on them where you can put
Mhm.
different stones, I wear that every day now.
Yep. Yeah.
I
I
still
some
lose
of
those
mine,
sometimes. So if you have ever experienced
yes.
this, rainbow fluorite is a peppy little stone. That one jumps off of me all the time. Like it'll hang out for a while and then eventually it's like, nope, I'm moving on to someone else. I've had it go like fall out in the parking lot and I didn't know where it was and then I knew, okay, I think it's in the parking lot, but it was like don't touch it. It's for someone
Hmm.
else. And I'm like, well, fine. I guess you're moving on to someone else then. But that's happened to me so many times where I have rainbow fluorite and eventually it's like someone else needs me now. Bye. I'm like, okay, cool.
Feel like my brain is in 20 different places today and I keep getting these strangest images. Like I have this picture in my head right now of your rainbow fluorite like tumbling through the parking lot at your office going, taste the rainbow, bitch, and like rolling away. You're like, it's all peppy and sassy. And
I mean, maybe
what's
it
in my
did.
head.
I don't know. I mean, I saw it. Like, I went and looked. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's out there. And then when I went out later, after it was clear I wasn't supposed to get it, it was gone. I'm like, I don't know who has it, but somebody needed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to, at my old office, so selenite, because it's kind of related to salt, it will degrade and corrode over time if it's in water.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some pieces of selenite that were ready to be retired, and we felt called to put them outside in the stone beds outside. And so I put them out in the stone beds in front of my old office. And probably 2 years later, I had an event, and there was a tattoo shop that was right next to us, and they were also doing an event that day. And the tattoo artist, one of the tattoo artist's kids were there. And one of them came running in and was like, I found this out in the stone bed outside. And it was one of the pieces of selenite. All of the rest of the pieces had disintegrated and were gone. And this one piece of selenite had lasted.
Wow.
And she found it. And we didn't just throw them in there. We kind of buried them a little bit. And she just was walking past 2 years later and just randomly found it. And this little girl was so stinking excited that she found it. So if a stone or a crystal wants to move on and it is meant to be found by somebody,
mm-hmm.
like that specific stone had corroded down into like a little heart.
Oh,
it wasn't.
That's cool.
It might have actually. Oh, no. So it was started out as a heart and it continued to corrode until it was just a little teeny tiny heart. But she was so stinking excited. So stinking excited. And I was like, where did you find that? She's like, it was out in the front garden bed. And I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, is it yours? And I'm like, nope, it's yours.
I love
not mine. It was great. It was great. She was so excited.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I think sometimes when people are, like, I understand wanting to know the meanings behind things and stuff like that, but I think people sometimes make it harder than it really is. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I love about crystals. They're just this beautiful, energetic beings that we get to share the planet with, and they are beautiful. Yeah. And sometimes universe, because they don't all come from here. And they find you when you need to find them. And I love that so much. I love working in a space that has a crystal shop and just being there sometimes. And every person who comes through, whether they understand or care about crystals or not, are like, oh, this is so nice. Because it is. It's lovely.
Yeah.
And the energy is beautiful.
And you get grounded by stones.
Yes.
That was very Midwestern. Stones. I don't know why that came out like that, but it did.
Well, I am happy that we got to revisit this. Sometimes it's fun to revisit some of these things. I know we talk about a lot of things, but there's so many things that we just like touch on. And crystals are one of those where we could pick stones all the time and probably never talk about the same ones. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to do that sometimes.
Yeah. The more stones you know.
Well, if anybody has a favorite stone that they picked today, I did it too, stone, that they picked today, or they really loved one of the ones that we talked about, let us know. You can put comments, or you can send us a message, and yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Yes, we would. Thank you all for listening. I am so excited for you to all go get stoned today in the best way possible, in the safest way possible.
Sounds good.
Yeah. We'll talk to y'all later. Love ya. Bye.
If you want more woo, please feel free to check the links in the description. Of course, we love hearing from you, so keep letting us know all of your lovely ideas. Have a beautiful day, our wonderful woo mates.